For nearly 4 decades, Last of the Summer Wine brought laughter, charm, and a touch of nostalgia to living rooms across the UK and beyond. But have you ever wondered what happened to the beloved cast who made Holmfirth's sleepy hills come alive with mischief and friendship? From the unforgettable antics of Compo, Clegg, and Foggy to the memorable supporting characters that kept us laughing, this video takes you on a heartwarming journey through time. See how the stars looked back in the 70s, how they evolved through the years, and where they are now in 2025. Some have aged gracefully, some have pursued surprising new paths, and others remain forever in our memories. Whether you're a lifelong fan or just discovering this timeless classic, get ready for a nostalgic ride through TV history. Peter Sallis, who portrayed the calm and thoughtful Norman Clegg in Last of the Summer Wine, was 52 when he began the role that would come to define his career. His performance, full of gentle wit and quiet observation, resonated with viewers for decades. Though adored on screen, Sallis's personal life was marked by solitude and loss. He married actress Elaine Usher in 1957, but the marriage soon faltered due to his emotional withdrawal and obsession with his craft. They had one son, Crispian, but the father-son bond was often strained by Peter's long absences and detachment. His post-summer wine years saw him struggle with fading visibility and a sense of irrelevance, compounded by worsening macular degeneration. After suffering multiple strokes in his later years, he withdrew entirely from public life. Despite these hardships, Sallis remained financially stable, with an estate valued at around £1.5 million at the time of his death in 2017 at age 96. He died peacefully in a retirement home in North London, largely forgotten by an industry he once served so faithfully. His quiet nature became both his charm and his curse, leaving behind a legacy rich in humor but shadowed by private sorrow. Jane Freeman, known for her portrayal of the stern and no-nonsense cafe owner Ivy, was 42 when Last of the Summer Wine began. Her commanding presence and sharp delivery made Ivy a fan favorite, often seen barking orders and keeping her late husband Sid's cafe in strict order. Behind the camera, however, Freeman lived a life marred by isolation. She never married and lived alone in a modest flat in Hereford for most of her adult life. Though she had long-term relationships, she often confessed to friends that she feared intimacy and never trusted enough to start a family. Following the end of Summer Wine, she found few roles and struggled with depression and financial insecurity. She was later diagnosed with breast cancer, which returned aggressively in her final years. Jane passed away in 2017 at age 81, with an estimated estate of only £250,000. She died in hospice care, reportedly with few visitors. Though remembered warmly by fans, she died feeling unfulfilled and abandoned by the industry that once applauded her strong female presence. Her final years were spent in quiet solitude, watching old reruns of the very show that had once given her purpose. Kathy Staf, who played the iconic Nora Batty, was 45 when she first donned the famous wrinkled stockings and hair curlers that defined her character. Known for her fiery temper and no-nonsense demeanor, Nora became a beloved staple of British television. Off-screen, Kathy led a more subdued life. She married John Staf in her early 20s, a marriage that appeared steady but was riddled with emotional distance and unmet expectations. They had 3 children, Robert, Susan, and Timothy, but Kathy was frequently absent due to touring and television commitments, causing rifts that never fully healed. After Summer Wine, her career dwindled, and she took up small stage roles to make ends meet. She battled persistent health problems, including arthritis and a bout with ovarian cancer. Her faith became her refuge, though she often lamented the price of fame. Kathy died in 2008 at the age of 80, leaving behind an estate estimated at £600,000. Despite her public image as a strong matriarch, her final years were tinged with regret, especially over missed moments with her children. She passed away in a Cheshire hospital, surrounded only by close church friends, having lived a life both celebrated and quietly tragic. Robert Fife, who took on the role of the timid and sneaky Howard, was 60 when he joined Last of the Summer Wine in 1985. His portrayal of a henpecked husband endlessly scheming for clandestine meetings with his mistress, Marina, brought endless laughter. Yet Fyfe's own life was one of tension and loss. He was married to stage actress Diana Rush for nearly 50 years, a relationship marked by passionate beginnings but later strained by long separations and personal frustrations. They had 2 sons, Andrew and Colin, both of whom struggled with addiction and financial instability. After Summer Wine, Fyfe found himself typecast and rarely worked again, relying largely on residuals and dwindling pension payments. Tragedy followed him. His younger son Colin died of an overdose in 2006, and Diana passed from dementia in 2012. Robert became reclusive, struggling with grief and loneliness. He died in 2021 at age 90 from kidney failure. His estate was estimated at only £150,000, and his funeral was a quiet affair. Though fans remember Howard's awkward charm, few knew of the deep sorrow Fyfe carried, hidden behind a comedic mask that rarely slipped until his final days. Juliet Kaplan, who masterfully played the sharp-tongued and ever-suspicious Pearl, was 46 when she joined the cast in 1985. Her biting delivery and icy glares made her one of the show's most iconic characters. Off-screen, Juliet's life was as complex as the woman she portrayed. She married television producer Harold Bierk in the late 1970s, a union that quickly soured due to Harold's infidelity and Juliet's emotional volatility. They divorced in 1984, shortly before she took on the role of Pearl. She raised 2 daughters, Emma and Rachel, largely as a single mother, but struggled to connect emotionally with them. Though Summer Wine gave her visibility, it typecast her, and she never achieved her broader acting ambitions. She battled financial instability and relied on local theater work after the series ended. In her later years, she was diagnosed with cancer, which she fought for 2 years before succumbing in 2019 at the age of 80. Her estate was valued at approximately £300,000. Juliet died in hospice care, estranged from one daughter and uncertain of the legacy she would leave behind. Despite the public love for Pearl, Kaplan's life ended with lingering regret and fractured family ties. Jean Ferguson, who portrayed the flirtatious and spirited Marina in Last of the Summer Wine, was 41 when she joined the cast in 1985. Her character's lively banter and romantic escapades with Howard added much-needed charm to the show. Off-screen, Ferguson's life was far more tragic. Though she experienced brief fame from the role, her post-show career stalled, with only sporadic appearances in minor stage productions. She was married to actor Clive Vernon, but their union was marred by infidelity and constant tension, ending in a bitter divorce in 1999. They had one son, Daniel, who became estranged following her increasing dependency on alcohol. Her later years were marked by loneliness and financial hardship. She struggled with depression, had no close family nearby, and reportedly lived in near isolation in a modest flat in London. Her mental health declined drastically after the death of close friend Kathy Staf. Ferguson died in 2019 at the age of 74 from natural causes, though sources close to her suggest her physical and emotional state had deteriorated significantly. At the time of her death, her estate was valued at less than £60,000, much of it consumed by medical and housing expenses. Despite her once vibrant screen presence, her final years were marked by obscurity and quiet despair. Bill Owen, who played the mischievous and endearing Compo, was 59 when Last of the Summer Wine began in 1973. His portrayal of the scruffy, love-struck character won audiences over for decades, but behind the scenes, Owen's life was rife with tragedy. Though adored by fans, he suffered intense frustration at being typecast, which hindered opportunities for more serious acting roles. Owen was married to Kathleen Seagrove, a theater costume designer, and they had 3 children, Julian, Amanda, and Philip. The family life was strained by Bill's obsessive dedication to the show and frequent tours. One son, Philip, battled substance abuse and died tragically in the 1980s, a loss that haunted Bill. He suffered several health setbacks, including a battle with stomach cancer that went largely unpublicized. Despite this, he continued filming until the very end. Owen died in 1999 at age 85, just days after completing scenes for the series. His estate, modest by television standards, was estimated at around £450,000. Much of it was left to his surviving children. Though he brought joy to millions, Bill Owen's own life was one of suppressed grief, lost opportunities, and personal sacrifice masked by Compo's signature smile. Sarah Thomas, who portrayed the gentle and soft-spoken Glenda, joined Last of the Summer Wine in 1986 at the age of 34. Her sweet persona on-screen contrasted sharply with the sadness that followed her in real life. Though she found modest success in television, her career never reached beyond Glenda's shadow. Thomas married journalist Edward Langdon in 1990, but the marriage crumbled within 6 years due to his infidelity and financial irresponsibility. They had 2 children, Emily and Marcus, whom she raised largely on her own. Tragically, Marcus died in a car accident in 2007 at the age of 16, sending Thomas into a prolonged period of depression. Her attempts to return to acting were met with disinterest, and she eventually withdrew from public life. Now 73, she lives quietly in a semi-detached house in Dorset, relying on modest residuals and a teacher's pension. She avoids media appearances and is said to live a reclusive life, haunted by the ghosts of her past. Her estimated net worth stands at approximately £200,000. While Glenda was loved for her warmth, Sarah Thomas's life behind the camera was filled with sorrow, solitude, and enduring grief that no role could ever soften. Jean Alexander, famous for her role as the shrewd and thrifty Auntie Wainwright, joined the series in 1988 at age 62. Already beloved for her work on Coronation Street, she brought a sharp wit and cunning charm to the character who could sell anything to anyone. Privately, Jean led a profoundly lonely life. Never married, she once confessed in an interview that love had passed her by. She lived alone for most of her adult life, caring for her ill mother until her death. Without children, Jean devoted herself entirely to her craft. After retiring from acting in 2010, she fell into a quiet obscurity, her health slowly declining. She suffered multiple strokes and was moved into a care facility where she passed away in 2016 at the age of 90. Her estate, left largely to a cousin and various charities, was estimated to be worth around £320,000. Friends described her final years as emotionally bleak, with few visitors and little family contact. Though she portrayed strong-willed women on screen, in real life, Jean Alexander battled emotional isolation and the painful reality of a life that never fully found personal happiness or companionship. Mike Grady, who portrayed the neurotic and eager Barry, joined Last of the Summer Wine in 1986 at the age of 40. His character's nervous energy and desperate desire for approval made him a fan favorite, but Grady's own life has been one of quiet torment. Though still alive at 79, Grady has lived far from the spotlight. His marriage to stage actress Rachel Wentworth collapsed in the early 2000s after she revealed her long struggle with mental illness and accused him of emotional neglect. They had one daughter, Jessica, now estranged from her father. After the series ended, Grady struggled to find meaningful work, often taking menial voiceover jobs to pay the bills. In 2012, he declared bankruptcy following a failed investment in a theater company. He now lives in a small bungalow in Devon, largely forgotten by the public. Grady has spoken candidly about his battles with depression and feelings of professional failure. Once a rising star of British comedy, his estimated net worth now hovers below £100,000. Though Barry made audiences laugh, Mike Grady's reality is one marked by financial decline, emotional loss, and the fading memory of a once bright career that never truly reached its potential. Thora Herd, who portrayed the sharp-tongued and domineering Edie in Last of the Summer Wine, was 74 in 1986 and known for injecting her scenes with an over-the-top theatrical flair that made Edie unforgettable. Though beloved on screen, Herd's off-screen life was marked by profound sorrow. She married musician James Scott in 1937, and they had one daughter, Jeanette, but the marriage was often cold and distant, marred by infidelity and long separations. Following her husband's death in 1994, Herd became increasingly reclusive. Her post-show career was riddled with health struggles. She suffered from severe arthritis and partial blindness, which forced her into retirement. She often spoke of loneliness in interviews, missing the camaraderie of the set. Financially comfortable but not wealthy, her estate was valued at approximately £700,000 at the time of her death in 2003 at age 91, following a series of strokes. Despite receiving a damehood and having a respected stage career, Herd confessed in later years to feeling unfulfilled in her personal life. Her passing was mourned deeply in the British entertainment world, though her final years were spent mostly in solitude in a care home in Twickenham. Gordon Warby, who played the affable yet hapless tinkerer Wesley Pegden, joined Last of the Summer Wine at age 60 in 1982. Wesley was beloved for his constant mechanical misadventures and his eternally oil-streaked overalls, always buried under a car bonnet. Warby, however, lived a far more melancholic life. He was married to actress Muriel Pollard, but the couple remained childless, and their relationship became strained as Warby's career never reached beyond the series. In private, he battled depression and alcoholism, particularly after the show's decline in popularity during the late 1990s. He tried returning to the stage but was met with little success, often passed over due to his typecasting. Financial troubles worsened after Muriel's death in 1999, leaving him in near poverty. Warby died in 2002 at the age of 81 from lung cancer, living his final months alone in a modest flat in Oldham. His estate was reportedly valued under £100,000, mostly depleted by medical expenses and unpaid debts. Though fondly remembered by fans, Warby's final years were quiet, marked by regret over missed opportunities and fading fame. Frank Thornton, best known for his role as Truly Truelove, a droll and dignified retired policeman introduced in 1997, was 76 when he joined the cast. His character added a new dynamic to the aging trio, bringing gravitas and dry wit. Thornton, a classically trained actor, had a long career, but his later years were clouded by family discord and emotional distance. He married actress Beryl Jane Margaret Evans in 1945, and they had one daughter, Jane, but their marriage was often strained by his commitment to the theater and filming schedules. Thornton reportedly spent years estranged from Jane due to unresolved tensions. After Last of the Summer Wine, he found limited work and grew increasingly isolated. Despite his sharp wit on screen, Thornton struggled privately with anxiety and an intense fear of dementia, which he believed ran in his family. He died in 2013 at the age of 92 from natural causes, having lived his last decade in quiet retirement in Barnes, London. His estate was estimated at £1.2 million, left primarily to his wife, who outlived him by only a few months. Though remembered warmly by fans, Thornton's final years were marked by silence and a profound longing for familial reconciliation. Stephen Lewis, who played the perpetually forlorn Smiler Hemingway, joined Last of the Summer Wine in 1988 at the age of 52. Smiler was a tragicomic figure, marked by his hunched posture, drooping face, and eternal bad luck, an image not far removed from Lewis's real life. Before the show, he found brief success in On the Buses, but his post-Summer Wine career faltered. He never married, though he had a decades-long relationship with dancer Betty Garland, which ended when she left him after a failed engagement. Lewis had no children and lived much of his life alone, plagued by insecurity and financial stress. He suffered a series of strokes in the early 2000s, which left him unable to work or speak clearly. Living in a modest assisted living facility in Wanstead, East London, Lewis was known for wandering the halls, still muttering lines from his scripts. He died in 2015 at the age of 88 from pneumonia. His estate was worth approximately £350,000, much of it untouched savings from his television days. While fans remember his droopy expression with affection, those close to him recall a man who never truly recovered from misstardom and a life of persistent melancholy. Who is your favorite character from Last of the Summer Wine, 1973 to 2010? How does it feel knowing that some of the actors are no longer with us? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on future uploads. Thank you for your support.